Okay, hello and welcome everyone here on Discord, joining us live on YouTube, those who are watching the recording of this session. I am Bante Warapanyo. This is the Monk Life Community Sangha, and this is a practice that we've done a number of times in the past, which is a Buddha book club. Um, Basically, what we will do during these sessions, which will continue over the next week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, we'll see how we move through the book. But this is a kind of community gathering where I have selected a book and we will step by step, chapter by chapter, read through that book. And as we go along with it, there's the space for asking questions, there's the space for maybe certain kind of practice that we can get into. There's the space for bringing up or sharing with the group something that's inspired you or stuck out to you in the practice. And one of the things I'd like to experiment doing um, with this book in particular is kind of having some homework for those who are inspired to do that. So I will share an email address where you can reach out to me. And basically, after our sessions, if you can give a recap or kind of share with me what you understood, what inspired you, and then maybe the next time we gather and meet, we can go over some of that sharing that was sent to me. And I don't know, maybe we haven't had homework in a long time. So for some of us, we may feel inspired to do that. But of course, it's just up to everyone as a individual if you'd like to practice with that. So we are going to be diving into a really special book together. I'm really inspired and I feel excited about looking at this book together. And the title of this book is Zen Battles. Modern commentary on the teachings of Master Linji by Thich Nhat Hanh. Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh. Linji is kind of the classical Zen master that shouts at you to find the turtle shell in the bottom of a well, that hits you to wake you up, that screams and yells to kind of bring about a direct experience and recognition of the truth, cutting through all the nonsense, cutting through all the complicated thinking, and just in a single instant arriving in the here and now. And that means that some of Zen Master Linji's teachings are abrasive, a little bit confusing, hard to understand, can even seem violent to the uninitiated. And Zen Master Linji is also one of the main patriarchs of the modern Zen tradition. So when you look around to this, this word of Zen, a lot of that is going back to this Master Linji, and how he taught, how he shared, and the tradition that stemmed from him, which in Vietnam is known as the Lam Te tradition. In Japan is known as the Rinzai tradition, and I believe in Korea known as the Seon. So on one hand, we have Zen Master Linji, which is this really harsh and intense ancient Zen master and his teachings. And on the other hand, we have kind of the preeminent or the most successful modern Buddhist, but also Zen teacher for the West, which is Thich Nhat Hanh, who is really known to be so compassionate, speak in a way that is understandable, digestible, that is trauma informed, and to help people realize their true self by a really gentle, natural, compassionate mind. So we have these two teachers that are going to kind of collide, and we'll get a real chance to digest these teachings in a way that is recommended and formed by Thich Nhat Hanh. And we've looked in our community here. We've looked at a lot of these more intense or almost intellectually seeming, but it's kind of anti-intellectual traditional Zen masters. And we've also worked with a lot of the teachings from Master Thich Nhat Hanh, right, which are very compassionate and understandable and digestible. So these two aspects coming together, it's a really good opportunity for us to dive into our practice. And I certainly encourage anyone here to get a copy of the book if that's within their means, if that's suitable for them. And if not, it will also be okay to just listen and join into these sessions as a kind of guided meditation. No pressure to study or memorize, just showing up and practicing, and you really get to experience the benefits. All right? Sound good for everyone? All right. Because this is a Dhamma text, and because we are working with the heart and our nature, our true nature, our essence, it's very important that we listen to this text, and if we do have the inspiration to share, from our mindfulness, from our groundedness, from our present moment experiencing rather than our intellect, right? Rather than our reactivity. So we'll start this session by finding a comfortable, stable position for your body and really setting the intention to settle down. Set the intention to be here, right? Set the intention to join in this practice. And we will come together with 3 sounds of the bell. Okay? As we hear the sound of the bell, we can really open up to the sound of the bell being the sound of compassion, the sound of truth, the sound of freedom, really ringing deeply inside of ourselves. We can come home to that. Let's take a moment to look around in a certain sense and kind of see all of our fellow practitioners that are gathered together here. So we are not alone. Our body is not a single body, but we are together as a Sangha body, That is a community of sincere, well-minded practitioners who are doing their best to develop on the path of compassion, peace, freedom, forgiveness, gentleness, and really to practice. So we can feel the support and the inspiration to listen deeply and be here completely at this moment. Put everything else down for a bit and just be here with Thich Nhat Hanh, with Bante, with Zen Master Linji, and with our wonderful community. Okay, so let's begin. Chapter 1. The person with nothing to do. And it starts here with a quote from Zen Master Linji. As I see it, there isn't so much to do. Just be ordinary, put on your robes, eat your food, and pass the time doing nothing. You may be a student of Master Linji even if you don't know his name. If you practice to live more fully and happily in the present moment, then you are a student of Master Linji. In the Zen tradition, his spirit is in everything we are taught and everything we do. Master Linji lived during the Tang dynasty in China. He was born in western Shandong province, just south of the Yellow River. Sometime between 810 and 815, when he was still young, he left his family and traveled north to study with the Zen patriarch Huangbo in his monastery near Hangzhou in Jiangxi province, just south of the Yangtze River. It was a time of political instability in China. There was government repression of Buddhism, which culminated in a decree issued in 845 by the Emperor Tangwu Zong, ordering all monks and nuns to disrobe and return to lay life. Many temples and statues were destroyed, particularly in the cities. Monasteries and outlying areas were less affected. After several years, the young Linji was sent by his teacher to study briefly with the reclusive monk Dai Yu, after which time he returned to live with the monks at Patriarch Huangbo's temple. Later, he had his own temple in Zhengzhou, Hebei province, where he taught in his signature direct and dramatic style. So this introduction here, it really gives us a solidity and a historical context for this monk and these teachings, so that it is something that is grounded in our humanity. It's grounded in our history. It's not just this kind of message that we're receiving from the stars or from something that's not human. This is the history of this monk that we know of. As was the custom in China at the time, he took his name Linji from the name of the mountain on which he lived and taught. He resided there until he passed away in 867. He never wrote down his teachings, but his students recorded and compiled them in the record of Master Linji. As a young monk, Linji studied diligently and gained a deep and extensive knowledge of the Tripitaka, the three baskets of the Buddhist teachings. That is, the sutras, commentaries, and Vinaya, the monastic precepts. He noticed that although many monks studied very diligently, their studies did not influence their understanding and transformation. They appeared to be seeking knowledge only to increase their fame or position in the temple. So Master Linji let go of his studies in order to follow true Zen practice. Many of us have spent our whole lives learning, questioning, and searching. But even on the path of enlightenment, if all we do is study, we are wasting our time and that of our teacher. This doesn't mean we shouldn't study. Study and practice help each other. But what's important is not the goal we are seeking, even if that goal is enlightenment, but rather living each moment of our daily lives truly and fully. This is easy to kind of skip over or hear, but not really take it in or digest it, really receive it fully. So in terms of the Dhamma or Buddhist practice or spiritual practice, our healing, our development, whatever it is, right? What's important is not the goal we are seeking, even if that goal is enlightenment, but rather living each moment of our daily lives truly and fully. Living this moment of our daily life, this moment where life is truly and fully, wholeheartedly. That this is more important than whatever goal we have, even if that goal is enlightenment. Living this moment truly and fully. Master Linji had a solid knowledge of the Buddhist canon, but his teaching method was based on his confidence that human beings need only to wake up to their true nature and live as ordinary people. Master Linji didn't call himself a Zen master. He called himself a good spiritual friend, someone who could help others on the path. Master Linji called those who had insight to teach the host, and the student, the one who comes to learn, the guest. Okay, this will be kind of important later, this term, this definition of these terms. So Zen Master Linji didn't call himself a spiritual teacher, but called himself a good spiritual friend, someone who could help others on the path. Master Linji called those who had the insight or the deeper understanding to teach the host, and the student, the one who comes to learn, the guest. Okay, host and guest. In Master Linji's time, some Buddhist terms were used so often that they became meaningless. People chewed on words like liberation and enlightenment until they lost their power. It is no different today. People use words that tire our ears. We hear the words freedom and security on talk radio, television, and in the newspaper so often that they have lost their effectiveness. When words are overused, even the most beautiful words can lose their true meaning. For example, the word love is a wonderful word. When we like to eat hamburgers, we say, "I love hamburgers." So, what is left of the deeper meaning of the word love? It is the same with Buddhist words. Someone may be able to speak beautifully about compassion, wisdom, or non self, but this doesn't necessarily help others. And the speaker may still have a big self or treat others badly. His eloquent speech may be only empty words. We can get tired of all these words, even the word Buddha. So, to wake people up, Master Linji invented new terms and new ways of saying things that would respond to the needs of his time. Let's listen to a sound of the bell before we continue. For example, Master Linji invented the term the businessless person. So, not busynessless, but the businessless person. The person who has nothing to do and nowhere to go. This was his ideal example of what a person could be. In Theravada Buddhism, the ideal person was the Arahat, someone who practiced to attain enlightenment. In Mahayana Buddhism, the ideal person was the Bodhisattva, a compassionate being who, on the path to enlightenment, helped others. According to Master Linji, the businessless person is someone who doesn't run after enlightenment or grasp at anything, even if that thing is the Buddha. This person has simply stopped. She is no longer caught by anything, even theories or teachings. The businessless person is the true person inside each one of us. This is the essential teaching of Master Linji. When we learn to stop and be truly alive in the present moment, we are in touch with what's going on within and around us. We aren't carried away by the past, the future, our thinking, ideas, emotions, and projects. Often we think that our ideas about things are the reality of that thing. Our notion of the Buddha may be just an idea and may be far from reality. I like to highlight this part. When we learn to stop and be truly alive in the present moment, we are in touch with what's going on within and around us. We aren't carried away by the past, the future, our thinking, ideas, emotions, and projects. Often we think that our ideas about things, or often we think our ideas about experiences are the reality of that experience or that thing or that situation. Our idea of the Buddha may be just an idea and may be far from reality. The Buddha outside ourselves was a human being who was born, lived, and died. For us to seek such a Buddha would be to seek a shadow, a ghost Buddha. And at some point, our idea of Buddha would become an obstacle for us. Okay, so Thich Nhat Hanh says here, the Buddha outside ourselves was a human being who was born, lived, and died. For us to seek such a Buddha would be to seek a shadow, a ghost Buddha. Right? So rather than that Buddha outside of ourselves, the awakening, the freedom that is inside of ourselves, right? Each one of us is kind of a Buddha to be, or a Buddha that maybe just hasn't seen its own nature yet, hasn't woken up to itself yet, to see its self nature. So don't chase after any Buddha outside. To seek such a Buddha would be to seek a shadow, a ghost Buddha. And maybe we can also see this in terms of attaching to the traditional teachings or the system of Buddhism, right? Rather than the practice of Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness, the practice of waking up. For us to seek such a Buddha would be to seek a shadow, a ghost Buddha. And at some point, our idea of Buddha would become an obstacle for us. Master Linji said that when we meet the ghost Buddha, we should cut off his head. Whether we are looking inside or outside ourselves, we need to cut off the head of whatever we meet and abandon the views and ideas we have about things, including our ideas about Buddhism and Buddhist teachings. All right, one more time with this part. Master Linji said that when we meet the ghost Buddha, we should cut off his head. Whether we are looking inside or outside ourselves, we need to cut off the head of whatever we meet and abandon the views and ideas we have about things. Abandon the views and ideas that we have about things, including our ideas about Buddhism and Buddhist teachings. Buddhist teachings are not exalted words and scriptures existing outside us, sitting on a high shelf in the temple, but rather are medicine for our ills. Buddhist teachings are skillful means to cure our ignorance, craving, and anger, as well as our habit of seeking things outside and not having confidence in ourselves. True insight or deep understanding or transformative understanding cannot be found in traditional Buddhist teachings, commentaries, or Dharma talks. Liberation and awakened understanding cannot be found by devoting ourselves to the study of the Buddhist scriptures. This is like hoping to find fresh water in dry bones. Returning to the present moment, using our clear mind that exists right here and now, we can be in touch with liberation and enlightenment, as well as with the Buddha and all his disciples as living realities right in this moment. Okay. Insight, wisdom, the deeper understanding, okay, cannot be found in sutras, commentaries, or Dharma talks. Liberation, freedom, and awakened understanding cannot be found by devoting ourselves to the study of the Buddhist scriptures. This is like hoping to find fresh water in dry bones. Rather, returning to the present moment, using our clear mind that exists right here and now, we can be in touch with liberation and enlightenment, as well as with the Buddha and all his disciples as living realities right in this moment. The person who has nothing to do doesn't need to put on airs or leave any trace behind. The true person is an active participant, engaged in her environment while remaining unoppressed by it. Although all phenomena are going through the various appearances of birth, abiding, changing, and dying, the true person does not become a victim of sadness, happiness, love, or hate. She lives in awareness as an ordinary person, whether standing, walking, laying down, or sitting. She does not act a part, even the part of a great Zen master. This is what Master Linji means by be sovereign wherever you are, and use that place as your seat of awakening. Now, here, this is where you are. Wherever you are is right here. Okay? This is what Master Linji means by be sovereign wherever you are, be independent wherever you are, and use that place as your seat of awakening. We may wonder, if a person has no direction, is not yearning to realize an ideal, and doesn't have an aim in life, then who will help living beings be liberated? Who will rescue those who are drowning in the ocean of suffering? A Buddha is a person who has no more business to do and is not looking for anything. In doing nothing, in simply stopping, we can live life freely and be true to ourselves. And our liberation will contribute to the liberation of all beings. That is chapter 1. Let's listen to a sound of the bell, and then we can see about sharing, asking some questions, sitting with the moment. Okay, dear friends, please feel generous at this moment to share about your experience or to ask a question about anything we went through, or to share something that inspired you or stood out. And if you're joining us through YouTube, you can leave a comment and I'll read that out loud or ask your question. Okay, maybe we'll go. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, Robert. Yeah.
When he says we abandon the views and ideas we have about things, including Buddhism and Buddhist teachings, um, I think he wants us to abandon wrong views that we have, perceptions that we might have that are incorrect. But we do need some conceptual understanding of what a correct view is so that we can progress on the path. I'm just trying to understand how much what he's asking us to abandon and what do we retain, as we move forward on the path together. Because abandoning everything, we just be sort of in the dark, meditating and hoping for liberation. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. This is a good question and a good point. Um, so it's really a matter of brightening the mind and opening the mind. What you do in the bathroom is for the bathroom. And if you can't abandon it, if you can't detach from it, we're going to have a real problem, right? You're going to have a problem. If I'm your roommate or if we live together, we will all have a problem, right? And if you really consider it, if you're more aware, more clear, then you'll be more and more careful about how you leave behind certain things, right? You take care of the bathroom in a certain way. You take care of any smells that may arise from there, right? Anything that relates to what you do in the bathroom, to be sure to abandon it, to leave it where it lays, right? And so to be a businessless person or to abandon all views is not much different than flushing the toilet. It's not much different from washing your hands after you finish. It is inclusive of all views, right? The whole world is there in the bathroom with you, but you can abandon it and you should abandon it. And even though we use the restroom every day, even though this is a part of our life, we don't make it to be some ball and chain that we drag around with us, right? We drop it, we abandon it. And so, in that finishing, that ending of all views, all ideas, it's right at that moment to brighten, right? To step off of the precipice and enter into and penetrate into reality, not to be stuck in any place, in any time, in any idea. It's very much about not being trapped, not being stuck, not being locked in. That capacity to abandon, that capacity to just be. And it also ties in with like this reality of the present moment. So where is your progress? Where is your success? Where is your failure right here and right now? Where is the gain and loss? Right? Where is the profit and the loss? Right here and right now. What's the need for it? And the reality is that there is no need for it. And we aren't sure that this life that you're talking about is necessarily going to be the way, is going to come up again. That's the idea to drop. That's the barrier to penetrate through, right? Because that's not necessarily true. That's something we create. And here to enter into this place of awakened understanding and liberation is to walk in freedom, to step in freedom. And to do that, we need to drop these ideas about things, these ideas about ourselves. And this is very much a practice. And this practice, of course, is inclusive of going to the bathroom, going to the restroom, taking care of that environment, right? And then we do, as we become more engaged in our practice and what we prioritize, we're also following precepts. We're also doing good deeds. We're also being mindful, also studying the Dhamma. But just in the way that we dare to flush the toilet, we also need to dare to flush the Dhamma. Just in the way that we dare to flush the Dhamma, we need to dare to flush our ordinary everyday life. Otherwise, you're going to stink. Okay. Thank you, Robert. So, Caroline on YouTube left a comment or question and said, Hi, Bante, question about insights can't be found in sutras, etc. What should be learned through these? Um, how to abandon, how to detach, how to drop views. Okay. And there is a relative and absolute. So there is a taking care of the body, taking care of the mind, eating, sleeping, defecating, etc. And this is very important, right? But we should understand that this is less important than freedom. And the sutras are only there to guide us and support us to realize freedom, which is coming back to the present moment, coming back to our direct experiencing, daring to drop views, daring to drop ideas about things. And if we look at this kind of normal activity of sleeping, eating, urinating, defecating, breathing, right, taking care of the kind of the ordinary everyday things, where is the necessity for these ideas about things? What thoughts, what views, what right views do you need in terms of using the toilet or drinking water or eating food? You only need to be mindful. You only need to return home in each and every moment. And this is the right understanding, the right view, the right action. And as we become more skillful, we learn how to use all these things, but to use without attachment. And we develop that using without attachment through really dropping these views and daring to approach that practice, even though it is a bit uncertain, a bit unsettling. I think Simcha, you wanted to share something. Please go ahead.
Can't remember exactly what I was thinking, but it was something about abandoning. I don't know, like living more in the present moment. Like, I'm not sure how he was characterizing that in the book. I guess a type of mindfulness. It's really hard for me to do when I'm like at work or something like that, you know. If that
Well,
makes any sense.
yeah, well, when we're at work, we have the ability to go beyond work. And you won't have that opportunity if you're not at work, right? When we have those sufferings or those traumas, those kind of difficulties that come up that are difficult for us to process and work with, we're not going to have the opportunity or the capability to go beyond them until we find ourselves dealing with them. So it's actually the practice opportunity that you're aware of, right? That you can be mindful, you can detach, you can transform this experience of working or suffering or lack of capacity to deal with it into that capacity to deal with it as it's coming up, as that difficulty is there. So you don't need to be disheartened by it, but practice with it, right? And in each moment, that's also something I think gets lost in a lot of meditation groups, or a lot of culture about meditation, is that we want to do it for 30 minutes a day or an hour guided meditation, or we're kind of counting our hours to get to this next stage. It's right at this moment. This is reality. It's not just some exercise to be, to develop yourself, but it's also to come home. And in coming home, you don't need to be developed. You don't need to be the perfect person. You don't need to be, some Zen master or monk or something like that. You just home is for you. Home is home. Home is where the heart is. Home is where the breathing is. Home is where this body is. So come home to the body, and home is this, right? Sound of the bell. Home is the sound of the bell. I always find it deeply nourishing, this notion or this feeling, this sense that comes up, oftentimes when we have our gatherings here, and I kind of point to it or talk about it, but this is that moment, right? This is the essence moment. This is the heart of spiritual life, right here and right now. This sound of the bell is ultimate reality. This is the universe. This is stars colliding. This is your whole life. This is it. Isn't it? Isn't this home? Isn't this everything? And so, not just to look for something in the future that would be nice, to worry about the past, or kind of attach to the past, and not even to grasp onto present moment experiences or judgments about those experiences or ideas or things that come up, but just the unspeakable nature of thisness, the suchness of it. And it's very curious. It's very interesting. And so if we want to know more about it, we don't get that by, studying sutras or developing this complicated spiritual narrative in our mind. We get this by coming home, being willing to come home, being willing to be in the present, being willing to look more and more closely, more and more deeply at this. And there's so much here, right? The eyes are a kaleidoscope. The ears are a mountain valley. The breath is the universe breathing. It's life. It all comes from and points back to it oftentimes is storytized or complicated, or all these extra layers are added onto, right? These transactions, these deals, these contracts, right? All these layers are created, all these created aspects. But that's not necessary. And it's especially not necessarily when you really find the nature of your experience. And as Zen Master Linji named it, right, to be a businessless person.
I find a lot of freedom in not understanding, not trying to understand, um, and the parts where I do feel like I'm understanding, I start to get carried away into something else. Like it proliferates a lot of thoughts, and then I end up not hearing uh, what Master Linji has to say, or what Thich Nhat Hanh has to say, and so that's really all I have. Is not knowing is I think a skillful space to explore.
Okay, thank you, Morgan. Just don't know. And if you've got something to say, make it harmonious. Make it something that comes from the heart, something that comes from depth, not just chatting. And to find that depth, or to kind of notice that natural depth that we have, we've got to stop. We've got to drop the constant ideas and views, and then more meaningful or more practical or more substantive views and ideas come up naturally. But we don't need to feed that. We don't need to strive for views and ideas and formulas and contracts and figuring things out. We should strive for mindfulness. We should strive for non-striving, to arrive at freedom, and really to reconcile with our body, so that our breathing becomes a safe place, that our heart becomes the drums of liberation, that our eyes become a kaleidoscope of peace, right? And beauty and remembering. De-traumatize the body. Reconcile with the heart mind, the body mind. Listen and connect. And know that this body has a kind of ocean of peace, an ocean of non-view. This body is the body of only don't know. The wisdom of the heart is not in the intellect. The wisdom of the gut is not in the intellect. It's not in our ideas and our stories and our fabrications. It's the heart, it's the gut. And these mental formations and ideas can so often obscure the mind that we forget the true nature of the mind, the essence of the mind that is right here, that's right in our face. The mind is a clear blue sky. The mind is marked by clarity, by brightness, by freedom, by openness, by boundlessness. It's so abundant in its transparency. But we didn't, or we couldn't. We didn't, and then eventually we couldn't recognize that. We forget so often, and we perpetuate that forgetting. So only don't know means dropping those ideas, dropping those views, disentangling, arriving at a natural state. compassionate state, a wise state that doesn't rely on sutras. It's not some idea about the Buddha. It's our nature. We can't even say human nature. It's the nature. It's also the nature of the sky and the moon and the sun, the whole universe. It's the nature of the ocean, the mountains, the earth. So we may find that the Buddha or the enlightenment or the peace that we put as something outside of ourselves or outside this present moment is just a kind of idea, that it's not the real thing. And that even the Buddha, this historically enlightened teacher, was a human being who was born, lived, and died. So for us to seek such a Buddha, or for us to seek such an enlightenment or a peace or a healing or a freedom outside of ourselves in the future or some situation, some ideal experience, it would be to seek a shadow, a ghost Buddha. And at some point, our idea of Buddha or our idea of peace or our idea of healing would become an obstacle for us. Master Linji said that when we meet the ghost Buddha, or when we meet the ghost peace, or the ghost healing, or the ghost enlightenment, or the ghost reconciliation, rather than the practice of it, we should cut off his head. Whether we are looking inside or outside ourselves, we need to cut off the head of whatever we meet, to finish, to end, to untangle from that grasping quality to whatever comes up. It's a ghost, it's a phantom. It's just the idea of peace. It's not the practice of peace. It's the idea of awareness. It's not the practice of awareness. We need to cut off the head of whatever we meet. We need to learn how to cut, to finish, to end, to free, to disentangle, to refresh and restart, to begin again, to step out from freedom. Step from freedom, step into freedom, stepping in freedom. We need to cut off the head of whatever we meet and abandon the views and ideas we have about things, including our ideas about Buddhism and Buddhist teachings. Buddhist teachings are not exalted words and scriptures existing outside us, sitting on a high shelf in the temple, but are medicine for our ills, our practices. Buddhist teachings are skillful means, that means ways, entry points, access points to cure our ignorance, craving, and anger, as well as our habit of seeking things outside and not having confidence in ourselves. So Buddhist teachings as skillful means: mindfulness, precepts, generosity, doing good deeds. Buddhist teachings are skillful means to cure our ignorance, craving, and anger, as well as our habit of seeking things outside and not having confidence inside in ourselves. Insight cannot be found in sutras, commentaries, or dharma talks. Liberation and awakened understanding can't be found by devoting ourselves to the study of Buddhist scriptures. This is like hoping to find fresh water in dry bones. So that's scary, right? That's difficult. What do we do when the mind is unstable, disconnected, rusty, trapped, stuck, confused, lost? At that moment of dehydration, of being parched, of walking through the desert, what do we need? We need fresh water, right? Well, you're not going to find that in dry bones. So what do we practice? What do we do? Returning to the present moment, using our clear mind that exists right here and now. This clear mind is always, in a sense, existing right here and now, regardless of how cloudy or stormy or difficult the mind becomes or the situation appears to be, right? In fact, that clear mind is always existing right here, right now, because it's not your clear mind. It's the essence. It's that which comes before everything. It's that which your body and mind originate from and return to. It's beyond all of your self-fixation, constriction, attachment, grasping, everything that is stuck within wide open space and clearness, right? So returning to the present, using our clear mind, and as we recognize that clear mind, which as practitioners we are sure to recognize and experience that clear mind. It's normal, okay? But we need to value that clear mind properly and develop trust and faith in that, the clarity of the clear mind. Only don't know, just aware, right? Then we can recognize it more and we can align ourselves with it more, align our daily life more with that clear mind. So to enter into liberation and awakened understanding, to really find it, returning to the present moment, using our clear mind that exists right here and now, we can be in touch with liberation and enlightenment, as well as with the Buddha and all his disciples as living realities here in this moment. We may wonder if a person has no direction, is not yearning or trying to realize some great ideal or great version of themselves, and they don't have an aim in life, then who will help people be liberated, or even how will they help themselves be liberated if they don't have a direction, they're not trying to realize an ideal, they don't have an aim in life? So who will help living beings to be liberated? How will they help themselves to be liberated? Who will rescue those? Who will rescue me as I'm drowning in this ocean of suffering if I don't have an ideal or an aim or a direction? A Buddha is a person who has no more business to do and isn't looking for anything. In doing nothing, in simply stopping, we can live freely and be true to ourselves. And our liberation will contribute to the liberation of all beings. Dear friends, that is chapter 1 of our Buddha book club, Zen Battles, a modern commentary on the teachings of Zen Master Linji by the Most Venerable Thich Nhat Hanh. We will finish together here with 3 sounds of the bell and also a dedication of the merit. All right? for those who would like to share about their experience in this Buddha book club, who are following along and would like to do some homework, please feel welcome to do a write-up on your understanding or maybe some questions that came up for you. And I will share my email, and you can send me that write-up or send me that text. It's not really sending me something to like answer or grade, of course, but more just sharing your thoughts and your experiences, or even suggestions for this Buddha book club as we move forward, and give you something more to practice with, okay? So let's share the merits. Everyone can unmute their microphone and repeat after me. Okay, we can all bring our hands together. May all the merits that we have done till now
May all the merits that we have done till now
be dedicated and shared out toward all sentient beings.
Be
be dedicated and shared out through all sentient beings.
May all sentient beings rejoice and share in our merits.
May all
May all sentient beings rejoice and share in our merits.
May it be.
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 May it truly be.
May it truly be.
Okay, thank you all for joining in our part 1 of our Buddha Book Club on the teachings of Zen Master Linji. For anyone who would like to do some homework, some kind of write-up about Chapter 1, you can send me an email at bantevp@gmail.com. bantevp@gmail.com. Okay? Thank you, friends, and we'll go through Chapter 2 sometime soon, maybe tomorrow. We'll see.
Thank you, Bhante.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good night.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Have a good night.
YouTubers, don't forget to, or feel welcome to leave a like on the video, and you can also leave a comment after the live stream ends, and helps more people come across our community, our events, our live streams, and it's very much appreciated. And any of you TikTokers, if you're serious about joining a online meditation community, please go to our website, monklife.one, to learn more, to connect, to join our Discord server, and join us for our next Buddha Book Club. Okay? Bye, everyone.